normal, very average. Nothing special to worry about it. I feel like I grew up as like an average kid, more or less. Grew up in like a almost not sheltered environment, but especially being from South Indiana, just a lot of white people out there. So you don't really get any of the culture or anything like that. It's just one way of life and one way of living. And then I was 15, I moved to the Northeast, Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it was really there where I had like almost like a cultural revolution in terms of hey, there's not just one way to live life. There's others too. But constantly just trying to figure out who I was and find my place, but also just having a good time while doing it too. So, probably the times when when I lived in South Bend, me and my dad would take these trains to go in Chicago during the summertime, and we would go watch Cubs game. I remember the one day specifically we watched the Cubs game and a Bears game, and it was truly like one of the great days for us sports days. But it wasn't even about like the days necessarily like of the activities, just spending time with my dad, just developing that father-son bond that hopefully one day I can replicate with my own son.
We start with some breaking news, and the World Health Organization has just released a report estimating that 15 million deaths occurred globally due to the pandemic, around triple the current estimates. It has called the figures staggering. Our global health correspondent Naomi Grimley reports.
So, no joke, I remember probably like 2 weeks before I got grounded because I was trying to have this massive party. So I was already funny enough, already kind of on lockdown anyway. But then I remember the one Friday, I showed up to track practice and they pretty much told me hey guys, we're not sure what's gonna happen next week, just keep your eyes open over the weekend. We had heard rumors of other schools shutting down around our area, but none of the schools specifically in the area. And then literally probably Saturday, Sunday, I got an email saying that, hey, we're gonna be closing schools for 2 weeks because of COVID. And then from there, the next year and a half kind of more or less went by. And, oof, man. Quarantine really was a combination of more or less trying to drown out the bad things by getting as fucked up as possible all the time. I had shit that was just happening all the time and I didn't have a reason to even be sad, What high school kid wouldn't want that, your senior year, back half of it, you can literally just party all the time. But especially once COVID happened, more or less, and then as the summer kind of grew closer, I fortunately had a friend that passed away due to drug overdose, and that more or less kind of just was the start of this, not bad shit happening, but just of a absolute roller coaster of emotions from going, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going to grad parties, just getting drunk out of my mind, trying to forget about everything, and then from there, kind of going into Monday, Tuesday, the week just being fuck, I got work today. And it was something to where I didn't know how to deal with it really. I just kind of going along with it. But at the time, I didn't realize it was probably the most depressed I've ever been in my life. In terms of just everything. The way I thought about myself, the way I thought about life. It wasn't a very positive outlook. And I tried to drown it with weed, alcohol, hanging out with my friends, just doing stupid shit we shouldn't have been doing. And I'm glad I never made a really stupid decision, but also, look back at that time, there's realization of, some of the most in terms of realization moments of my life. I had some of the best of those, but also had some of the lowest moments of my life, where I thought that, not necessarily suicidal, but of there's no end to this, and it's gonna be like this forever. And especially in a time where, someone very close to you, especially when you're young, dies, you have this feeling of wanting to get together, and you couldn't. There's literally, probably would have been 900 to 1,000 people at his funeral, and we had 30 people there, me and 5 of my teammates, so it was something to where I look back on it and, was it a learning process? Yes, but do I ever wish to go through that again? No, absolutely not. I feel I wouldn't say transition back to society, but I remember it's probably February 2021 where shit was the roughest in terms of I was severely depressed and I had no idea what was going on in my life. And COVID had just overtaken my mind of the fact of, it's gonna be like this forever, and this feeling of hopelessness and not being able to go out and experience certain things, I think, really affected me. And then eventually got to a point where I would just went to my therapist and I was talking to him about like steps I could take. So it was also at this time where me and my dad were just at absolute odds with each other all the time, arguing, yelling, you know, me telling him like fuck you, and then him telling me fuck you. It was just one of those things of like an endless process of just like, why am I going through this? And then eventually I got to a point one day where I was sitting in my car just driving, and I was just remember sitting there crying, just being like, why the fuck is this happening to me? And I got to the point where I was just like, no, like, I don't care what happens, I'm not staying here. And it was then that I made the decision to look at Florida schools and actually apply to Barry. And I did that, and I'm glad I did, because to be honest, if I didn't do that, I have no idea where I'd be today. Probably would be back home, doing nothing, working some dead-end job at McDonald's or something like that. And you know, I even think about it now, the fact of like getting through that shit, and especially coming around to it was, you know, that was a make or break moment for me. And I made the correct decision in the end, because I feel like there's certain times where, so many times where I could have just given up, I could have just mailed it in, and I could have said fuck this or fuck that, and I could have just done whatever, but I didn't though, you know. I had something inside of me that said, no Mac, this is not gonna be you, you know. You're better than this. You're better than working at FedEx, fucking working 60, 70 hours a week being fucking miserable. You have a chance to do something great in your life. And, you know, it took me probably until the semester to realize it, but, you know, hard work is something that I really learned over COVID in terms of, you know, it's not just one day in, one day out, it's every day. You have to be consistent when you show up, and you have to, you know, have the unrelentless courage to get up every day and do what you have to do, get stuff done. I feel like, especially this semester, I've just gone through, it's kind of crazy I think about it. So since COVID started, I've changed 5 times as a person. When COVID first started, or not even that, my best friend died. When I went to school for the first time. When I started going to therapy in probably February 2021. And then when I went to Barry, and then probably beginning of the semester. You know, just something to where this is, you know, everyone goes through trauma. Doesn't matter what level it is, everybody goes through some shit, you know. Should they let that define them? No. But, you know, everyone's story, in my opinion, at least deserves to be heard. Does it deserve to be praised or criticized? I'm not sure, but everyone has different circumstances that dictate, that they think dictate what can happen in their life. But I truly believe, especially now, it's just like, people that, the one thing I've learned, like, if people can just learn, just like, keep your head down and just fucking grind. And I don't mean like, say you're, no, like, I'm talking like, you wake up every day and that's all you think about is the chase, the hunt, the what if factor, the what if I get my dream job, or what if tomorrow is, you know, the best day of my life, what's the worst? Because there's only one thing in my opinion that's guaranteed to happen every single day. Sun is gonna rise, sun is gonna set. Outside of that, you could have the best day of your life, you could have the worst day in your life. And it's something where I carry my mentality now, like, I don't know if it's gonna be a good or bad day, but we sure as hell are gonna try to make it a good day.